my name's Lana Rush. I'm head of marketing at Osprey London, and today I want to talk to you about era of brand transformation. So before I want to kind of get into our journey and where we're going and where we're at today, I first just kind of want to start it off a bit about me. So I am actually from the world of sport. I grew up playing tennis. I actually went full-time at a really young age, and I took the professional route kind of very early on. I was lucky enough, I played Wimbledon, I was main draw at Australian Open, and was able to actually represent my my country, Great Britain, at the Fed Cup. And my kind of career was cut short due to injury, but kind of during that time, it was like my first introduction to brand, and it was where kind of my passion and everything was really ignited during this time. So my agent would come back, oh, this brand really wants to work with you, and I'd be like, oh, great, why? And they would kind of explain, and it was before kind of the age of, really social media, and with it, any kind of influencer marketing at all, and it was very much just why that brand made sense to me and how I would then represent them at tournaments. So kind of fast forwarding through the years, I've worked across kind of fashion, beauty, as well as wellness, and there was always been a very kind of consistent, purpose of brand, and it's something that I've always wanted to just push wherever I am, and is very much true today. So kind of just repeating of what was just mentioned before. So when I started at Osprey London, which was only 9 months ago actually, we've just kind of re-looked at everything, and we were like, okay, where can we go? And the first thing we looked at was really brand revival. And I'm gonna say it again, but to me, kind of brand revival is when an established brand reconnects with its DNA and reinterprets those codes for a customer today. This is often done during or following a period of growth, and it's a great time to just reconnect with the original vision, mission, and values of the business, and often gives birth to a really exciting new chapter anchored in authenticity. So for those of you who don't know, Osprey London is an independently owned luxury leather, lifestyle and retail company, and our story began in 1980, and it was born from a belt. So Graham Ellison, I'd like to actually bring your attention to this kind of top picture here. So Graham was 25 in this picture here. This was 1980. We're very much a British brand. He kind of rented this small loft in Hertfordshire, which funnily enough is where our headquarters still are today, and for £2 a week, which sounds absolutely dreamy for rent these days, he kind of invested £500 of his own money and started what is known as a fledgling brand today. So it kind of very quickly became all the rage. It naturally transitioned into kind of the leather goods brand that we're very much known for today, with kind of handbags and gifts and everything. And we've been stocked here everywhere, from the likes of, Harrods, Selfridges, Harvey Nichols, and we like to say we're kind of a favorite across like rock royalty and actually real royalty as well. A really, really nice story that is kind of my personal favorite about Graham, and is a really good representation of the brand as well, is that when he was just starting out, he would make the belt samples himself. He was very much from like a craftsman family, and would go and take his samples in a suitcase actually to Buckingham Palace, where they would allow him in, and he'd kind of drive in and actually showcased his samples to the late Princess Diana, where she would then pick her favorites and wear them for the season. And I think that's just a really, really amazing story, but also, it's very much who we still are today. We're a British brand. We have amazing heritage, and what's really important to us is just that kind of importance of craftsmanship and materials as well. So kind of next slide here, I'm just going to play you a quick video of where we are today, and this is our Spring 24 campaign. So era of brand transformation, which is of course what this talk is about today. So we're really working at the moment to shift what is a really well-established heritage brand, which had brilliant traditional bricks and mortar presence, to being an online flagship. So as mentioned, the brand was established in 1980, and with that we're able to say that we're a multi-generational brand name. what that means, and I hope a few of you can actually relate to this. So I was first introduced to Osprey London, where I was gifted it by my auntie, I was gifted it by my grandmother, whether it was Christmas or my birthday, and you see kind of this really lovely story where people kind of across the UK are really familiar with the brand in different ways. We have 14 UK storefronts today. A lot of those are outlets, which is a really brilliant proposition for us. So the likes of MacArthur Glen and Lansec, we have a really strong kind of presence in all of those. We launched with Emetria in October 2023, which was amazing. In hindsight, slightly risky doing it just before peak, but it ended up going really well. And it was really our first step to transition towards becoming that digital flagship. So when we first migrated over kind of to Emetria, we first looked at the send lists. And before there was this very kind of simplistic approach where they had two broad email send lists, and they kind of would send to their stores and then they would send to their online database. And kind of just from using Emetria's tools and everything, we've really just to kind of been able to, have a nuanced understanding of customer behavior and insights. And now we have modernized our CRM really kind of successfully to have a data-led approach and actually just reconnect with our audience in different ways, always being like really digital first. What was probably a challenge for us really is that because we have such a strong outlet presence, we have been able to acquire a lot of what we call kind of off-price customers. So they come in and they very much expect that off-price as a first buy. They're not coming in for new, they're not coming in for the season's hottest styles. They very much love the brand for kind of that brilliant price proposition, which is a great USP for us. But while acquiring these customers in this behavior is great for us, we also want to be able to segment them out and also acquire new customers and actually focus a lot more on that full price proposition and elevate the brand in a way that kind of it speaks for itself really, and just being able to identify and segment and off these purchases were just made really possible and successful through the tools that are available on Emetria. So jumping in straight to the results, so from launch, we saw an 83% uplift in channel transactions, which was incredible. Year to date, we've seen email revenue growth at 91%, and just knowing that throughout all of that, we are seeing a 99% deliverability since launch is really very encouraging. I think as a British heritage brand with prior dominance kind of in the older demographic, it's just really great to see that with our kind of improved, very much a data-led CRM strategy, we've been able to capture both our existing and new customer base. And with it, we've seen a huge shift in our customer age range. So previously, we were kind of sitting around that 45 plus, which was amazing. But actually, just by pulling it through kind of a few different tools here and there, we now comfortably see our age range between that 25 to 35. And that's, again, just validated through all the revenue that we've seen in our digital sales. And then also, given D2C just has such impressive growth margin capabilities, we can use Emetria's customer data really effectively to then create lookalike audiences. So whether we're going out to acquire new customers that are that outlet specific customer, and then also new, we know exactly who it is that we are trying to target kind of just through using all the data really that's available to us to run our business more effectively and ultimately just strive for kind of multi-channel profitability, which is always the goal. So these are just kind of a very small snapshot of the emails that we send out. Obviously, we send a plethora of emails. I'm sure all of you do as well. But it's just kind of showcasing what we did. So on your left over here. So this is our example of kind of our launch email. So we're able to showcase our primary campaign assets. We're able to showcase video, even though it's not pulling through here, and just be able to kind of elevate everything and give it a very premium look and feel. We also kind of have that lead product categories in the middle, taking people exactly to the products that they want, whether it's using recommendation blocks or just different kinds of categories that we have available. But most importantly, actually that is on your left, the mid-season sale kind of graphic that's over there. So making sure that we are always tapping into that outlet customer. But what's kind of the biggest difference there is that we want them to have the same experience that's very aspirational in the way that we present our communication to them, even if we are serving them that off-price product. So, you can clearly see it has the red pricing there, was now pricing, but kind of across the board, there's again quite a cohesive look and feel, which I think is really important. And you want to treat your customers the exact same way and give them as much, buy-in to the brand as possible. So those were kind of just examples of email broadcasts, but the biggest win for our brand has really been email automation. So previously, kind of they did in Osprey London, had their welcome flow, but there was no pop-up on websites. So people were signing up to their emails, whether it was at checkout, kind of ticking to subscribe, or kind of at the very bottom of the web page. So we weren't massively engaging our audience base, I guess. Specifically online. But since kind of going into that and actually having that web pop-up and really focusing a lot on our email automations, we've seen a 64% open rate, which is really amazing, and a 20% click-to-open rate overall. But most impressively, kind of if you're just going back to the fact that, we've seen a 91% uplift in email channel transactions this year, but if you think of that full portion of the pie, knowing that 38% of our total email revenue year to date actually comes from automations is probably the best number that we've been able to look at. So it's knowing, we're targeting people in new ways, we're looking at automated personalized journeys, and I'll go into that a little bit more on the next slide here. So again, very similar look and feel to the broadcast emails, but again, just showcasing different tools that we have available with Emetria. So we have the kind of product upsells, cross-sells, was now pricing, and different types of recommendation blocks with different geniuses set up. So I think it's really cool. You can have, your top picks, you can do products they may also like, and just really test and learn to see what works best for your customer. And also trialing new things. So on there, with the pink box here on the right, we've started to set up price drops. And that's just kind of automatically triggered. It comes out, and it's great because we obviously are launching new product quite often. Due to the seasonality, just of the nature of retail, often, prices will go down, you'll move on, you'll go to outlet and so on. And if we have people, aspiring to kind of go up into that next price level, and if they're not able to, then just kind of retargeting them again with a price drop has been really successful for us. But kind of notably, so we really put a lot of emphasis in launching our email automations in January, and month to date in January alone, kind of 2023 versus 2024, our email revenue surged by 120%. And during this period, we maintained the exact same frequency of what we did the prior year. So we were at kind of 4 email sends a week, which even though we elevated the look and feel of everything to be very, of what we wanted to get to, the biggest difference here was really that email automated content that was coming out. So we know our customers love to shop in a personalized way, and we're now just giving them the opportunity to do that. So this is just kind of our roadmap since launch, really. So we had a very quick kind of, I joined 9 months ago. The first thing we did was kind of, do the assessment. Do we want to go with Emetria, Klaviyo, wherever? After making that decision, it was very quick in terms of doing that data migration in order to launch before peak. So kind of we launched in October, and the first point of call there was really just redesigning our emails to, best represent what we wanted to get towards in terms of brand elevation, and actually just get ready for peak trade. So you have such a high frequency of sends during peak trade. We were, defining our send times, which is very much something we're still using today, and actually just segmenting out people who are unengaged. If they've purchased, we no longer need to send to them, it's fine. And actually just maintaining a really healthy list during November was really critical for us. In December, after the craziness of Black Friday has calmed down, we then were able to focus a lot more on growing our kind of our automation. So we looked at how our customers are buying, what it is that we can then serve them. So that's when we did the very first phase of launching automation. So when you think of a welcome flow, of course, it's not just one email. You have your first one, you then, you have the next trigger, you're introducing them to the brand story, and just really starting to introduce people into this universe of Osprey London that we really want people to buy into. Coming into January, we're really looking at kind of personalized content, and this is where kind of we were doing as mentioned, the price drops, the back in stocks, A/B testing first names. So do our customers like to have their first name in the subject line? Do they prefer to have it within in the email, and just really looking at all the different types of content versus gifts, video, campaign, you name it. We've definitely tested it, and just really trying to further understand who our customers are and how they like to shop. Going into February, so obviously post-sale, you've just done, November sales, Christmas sales, January sales. It's a really, really heavy trading period, and you need to do a little bit of a health assessment there. And we were kind of really putting a lot of effort in to re-engage those unengaged people. So testing, come back, do you prefer to shop with £20 versus like 20% off? And there are lots of different mechanics that we can now have like automated in place to just kind of re-trigger and re-engage lots of people there. And the final step is where kind of I'll move into for the rest of this talk is omni-channel integration. So our kind of e-commerce team has done so much work here. So with our stores, we use Situ as our POS. We're really just working to make sure those two are speaking to each other, because we want people, whether they're obviously interacting with us online, if they're going into store, we're then able to follow up with them and be like, hey, how was your experience? This was the product you looked at. How can we best recommend, or if this product wasn't available in store, then just upselling them to the website. So you kind of have this full buy-in, and again, just treating customers in the exact same way as you would hope to be treated as a customer as well. So just going back to kind of Q4, because launching in October was slightly scary. We're a really, really small team, but we were able to kind of pull it off. And I think without doing anything crazy, we were just redefining our brand tone of voice across email and the way that we presented ourselves. We saw kind of a 43% email revenue growth just across Q4. And when you think about, we're sending 5 million emails out, which sounds absolutely nuts, knowing that 42% of them are then being clicked to opened is remarkable, and of course massively contributed to the success of our Q4 last year, but also just kind of that then increase in sessions. So knowing people are then clicking, they're opening, they're engaging on our website, and then ultimately resulting in sales is really was positive for us, to be honest. Going back to that omni-channel thing, so that thing is very important. The kind of Situ obviously is something that we're working on at the moment and hope to launch in the next few months. We've recently launched with Attentive. So for those of you who don't know, it's an SMS platform. And kind of the original purpose for this was just to have that web pop-up, because we wanted people to really engage with us and obviously first capture, when you first land on site, we want to engage you, invite you into our world, and also offer you kind of, early access to everything, just your usual. So in doing so, we also, the purpose for this was we really noticed that we were gaining a lot of traction across our email and wanted to further buy in our own channels, because, performance marketing is brilliant, but the effectiveness of it does really kind of fluctuate, whether it's, whatever's happening in increased costs, if it's, something economical going on, you need to be able to really rely on your own channels. And, this really can't be overstated enough. Actually, just owning everything that you can control really does ensure the loyalty of your kind of existing customers and solidifies your digital maturity, which then also kind of leads on to how just focusing a lot more on brand marketing within our own channels is just proven to enhance kind of our brand equity, our retention, a lot of new figures that were not previously kind of assessed across our landscape is now a big part of our matrix now. And it's, again, just aligning with that industry shift of you want to trust your brand, you want to be able to kind of where you shop, you know exactly who they are, and just building that value of brand a lot more. So, sorry, I've got one more note to go on this one. So I think something that's really exciting about Osprey London, I hope a lot of you are really familiar with the brand, is that it has so much potential because it does have such kind of a rich heritage being a British brand. It was kind of born in 1980, and we're just really in the midst of reshaping that full e-commerce landscape where brand and conversion, we want it to be, harmonized across for the customer today and also tomorrow. We kind of the launch of Emetria, the launch of Attentive, and everything we're doing at the moment is just a small, although very important part of kind of our larger brand journey and that kind of wider tech puzzle of where we're moving towards at the moment. We've also, we're doing a lot of work across our paid performance. We've recently launched with a new agency, kind of lower all of our CPAs. We, want to increase our share of search in the UK, but then also progress into new markets because we are a predominantly UK brand at the moment. And with that, I'm also really, really excited to say that we have actually recently signed with Centra. So we're kind of just starting to kind of rebuild our platform at the moment to then propel into new markets and really put our best foot forward as having that digital flagship. And yeah, that is all very much in the works, and it is really exciting. So I guess leading on to that, Osprey London tomorrow is just taking a lot of what I've talked about now about our kind of the work that we're doing on email and conversion, and just to constantly get our customers in and very much part of our, who Osprey London are. We want that to then translate onto our e-commerce website. So what that means is really with brand experience. So we want our customers to feel, inspired from start to finish, whether it's through imagery, tonality, anything that's going on. We want our customers to want to come back for more. We want them to actually spend a lot of time on our website. And we are kind of seeing through the data that it's been achieved, and it is something that we're constantly working towards, striving for with Emetria. And then that then leads into the conversion experience. So knowing that our customers are guided to suitable products in the same way that we'll do recommendation blocks, upsells and cross-sells, and just giving them the products and the way that they are really kind of engaged with our brand to actually be really curious, and that to then translate across to our e-commerce flagship that we're building at the moment to have really automated and personalized journeys. So kind of just to sum up everything here, so of where kind of Osprey London is now. So there's a lot going on. We're changing a lot. We're moving, but this is in no way kind of a rebrand. We are just taking the same passion and the same vision and mission of our founder heritage. They're in the business every single day, and we're just kind of reshaping it and putting it out in a way that kind of makes sense today. And also, we want a digital first approach, to be honest, but nothing about who the brand is changing at all. Emetria is, of course, a really, really big part of our brand revival journey, and it's been amazing to see the full scope of its benefits, which we're still always pushing and always wanting to grow. I think I previously came from probably companies that had much bigger marketing teams. We had CRM teams, and a lot of these flows and processes were already set up. So actually coming in and setting these up from scratch and working with what is like a really small but mighty team has been really great, because we've been, questioning everything that we're doing. Does this make sense? Like, why are we launching this? Does this story actually impact at all into where we want to go and to build the brand? So it's been really just, I think, rewarding, one for myself and hopefully for my team as well, to kind of doing everything step by step in a really slow and sustainable way, and then seeing the impact from that. So yeah, we are a really, really small team, but I think it's also, again, going back to who Osprey London is. So we're founded in 1980. It's an independently owned brand. They've never had any third-party investment. They've just been continuously growing slowly and very sustainably, reinvesting back in on what makes sense, and that is very much still true today. So everything that we're doing is very much kind of data-led, it's strategic, and any tech and new advancements that we're adding, it needs to make sense for us. So we're not just adding, all the latest and greatest of everything if we can't best utilize it. So it's also being, quite critical and always asking your questions, does this make sense for the brand? How does this work? And then also just how can we continue to progress into where we want to go? So yeah, so that is really kind of it for us. So we're very much on this big journey and era of brand transformation. It's really, really exciting, and I really hope you guys kind of follow us on our way. But yeah, thank you so much.